My name was Arjun. I was born in India, but I left when I was 19 and spent the last 15 years of my life in Seattle. On paper, I had what most people would call a stable life. Steady job in tech, a modest one-bedroom apartment on a street lined with coffee shops, weekends filled with screens and takeout. But somewhere along the way, I realized I had hollowed out. My days were a machine of commutes, code reviews, sprint planning, Slack notifications that stretched late into the night. Even my weekends were consumed by the glow of monitors. Every Sunday, my parents called from Lucknow. My mother always asked if I had found good people. My father sent photos of small temples, shrines crowded with marigolds and smoke. I answered with polite patience, but each call left me restless. What I truly remembered were the stories. My grandmother's voice, soft and steady as she peeled mangoes in the courtyard. She spoke of the Himalayas with reverence, almost fear. The bells of Gangolihaat temple ringing at dawn, a frozen lake called Naag Taal where a bride had once drowned, and the gods and spirits that lived in the deodar forests. To her, the mountains weren't geography, they were memory and warning. When burnout finally broke me, I booked a one-way ticket to Delhi. My plan was simple: head north until the noise of the world fell away. From Delhi, I boarded a train to Kathgodam. The carriage was crowded with families carrying steel tiffins, children pressed to windows, young men laughing into their phones. Outside, mustard fields shimmered across the plains. As the train climbed, fields gave way to forests of pine and oak. The air cooled. The chatter inside the carriage softened, as though everyone had instinctively decided to honor the silence of the mountains. From Kathgodam, I caught a bus to Almora. The road clung to cliffs so narrow that when trucks passed, metal scraped against stone. Almora was all red rooftops and bazaars that smelled of frying pakoras and wood smoke. I spent the night in a damp guest house where the sheets smelled faintly of kerosene. The next morning, I squeezed into a shared jeep bound for Munsiari. The driver, Mahesh Rana, was a lean man with weathered skin and a neatly trimmed moustache. His hands were rough, his eyes fixed on the road. He drove in silence for hours, the jeep rattling over landslide scars, while the Gauri Ganga river roared silver far below. When I asked how much further, he only muttered, "Just a little. NRI Sahib, follow the rules." By the time we reached, the sun was low. The air in Munsiari was so sharp it felt like glass in my lungs. Children in sweaters played cricket on a clearing, their voices carrying far in the thin air. Old women sat with walnuts and dried apricots. Dogs with thick coats trotted behind us, sniffing the ground. Mahesh drove higher still, onto a ridge where the town thinned into forest. There it stood, Shanti Dhaam Guest Lodge. The two-story building loomed of stone and deodar wood. Its balconies sagged, faded prayer flags tangled in the rafters. A brass bell hung at the entrance, green with patina. The air smelled of resin, damp stone, and faint iron, like coins left in rainwater. Mahesh killed the engine. He pressed a ring of keys, a small brass bell, and a laminated sheet into my hand. He tapped the sheet once, sharply, as though warning him. Then he turned the jeep and drove away. The silence that followed was immense. Not absence, but wait. Silence that made me aware of my own pulse. I unfolded the sheet. Rules of Shanti Dhaam Guest Lodge. At 6:30 each evening, light incense at the shrine of Bhairavnath in the lobby. If the incense goes out on its own, do not relight it. Lock your door and remain silent until sunrise. After 9 p.m., no guests are real. Do not open the door, even if they speak in Hindi, even if they know your name. Behind the lodge lies Naag Taal, a frozen lake. Do not look at it after midnight. If you hear a woman singing, cover your ears and softly recite the Hanuman Chalisa until it stops. If your mouth tastes of iron, spit into the corner of your room. Room 7 has been locked since 1984. If you hear anklets or chanting from within, ignore it. If a key appears, do not use it. At sunrise, you must hear the bells from Gangolihaat temple. If they do not ring, leave immediately. Don't pack, don't pray, don't look back. Between 2:30 and 3 o'clock a.m., do not look out your window, no matter who calls you. If marigolds, sindoor, or a bowl of milk appear outside your door at dawn, sweep them into the stream that flows into the Gauri Ganga. Do not touch them with your hands. At the bottom was an 8th rule scratched out so hard the laminate itself was scarred white. Only a faint smudge remained. I smiled despite myself. Growing up in Lucknow, I had heard my share of superstitions. Don't cut nails at night, don't point at rainbows, don't sleep with your head facing north. They had always been quaint, never terrifying. But here, in the dying light of the Himalayas, these rules felt heavier, as though the mountains themselves had written them. That first evening I explored the lodge. Dust clung to carved banisters. Faded black and white photos of trekkers lined the walls. In the lobby, the shrine of Bhairavnath stood, a blackened idol, a brass trident wrapped in red cloth, a corner thick with the smell of smoke. At 6:30, I lit incense. The smoke rose steady. Outside, the wind whistled through deodars. By 9:44, the building groaned in the cold. Then came 3 knocks at my door. "Brother, please let me in. I am freezing. Just 1 cup of tea." The voice spoke in Hindi. Then it said my name. I stumbled to the office and switched on the old CCTV monitor. Grainy black and white, a man in a shawl, head bowed. His face was blurred. His shadow fell in the wrong direction. Rule 2 thundered in my head. After 9 p.m., no guests are real. I shut the monitor off. The knocks came again. Then a sound like a sob. Silence followed. At dawn, marigolds lay on the mat, fresh, bright, with dew, though none lay on the ground. I swept them into the stream. The water turned black before clearing. The second night, after midnight, a woman's voice drifted across from Naag Taal. She sang an old Kumaoni wedding song, delicate, mournful, haunting. Halfway through, she broke the melody and said my name. A metallic taste flooded my mouth. Rule 3 screamed. I covered my ears, muttered the Hanuman Chalisa in a trembling mix of Hindi and memory, and spit into the corner. The spit hissed against stone. The singing stopped. Silence pressed like absence. At dawn, faint but clear, the bells of Gangolihaat rang. Later, from a ridge, I saw Naag Taal, pale, flat, a glassy skin. For a second, shadows shifted beneath the ice. I hurried back. The third night, at 1:08 a.m., anklets jingled in the corridor, soft, deliberate. A whisper followed. "Uncle, it's cold. Please let me out." The sound drifted to room 7. I held the bell tight. At dawn, the door to room 7 bore fresh scratches. Bare footprints pressed outward from within, small as a schoolgirl's. In the office, I found a school notebook in a cabinet. On the cover, Devki Rawat, Class 9, 1984. The last page had been torn away. Down in the village bazaar, I asked an old shopkeeper, Dhan Singh Bisht, about the lake. He stiffened, then muttered in English, "Don't listen, don't look." Then, lower in Hindi, "The Rawats, 3 days no bells. Room 7 had no shadow. That evening, incense died the moment I lit it. Rule 1 forbade relighting. The silence that followed felt